paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler, joined, as always, by my co-hosts this week, DJ and Cass. Welcome in.
What if I just did like a
show.
crazy person stare throughout the entire cast? Like, what if I just did this?
Why?
Like the whole recording?
Why? Is this DJ? Is this like you have a dartboard of how you're gonna ruin the open, and this is what we landed on today?
He's just so quirky and random. Oh my god, lol.
He's gonna stare at the screen like a serial killer. What if he did that?
DJ,
guys?
you would have done great on Tumblr in like 2010. You would have been like, oh my god, what a soft boy.
What if you went to YouTube?
Would I be allowed on
Random.
Tumblr in 2010 as a straight white guy?
Oh yeah, dude, you're just the onceler made real.
I don't know what that is, and that's why I shouldn't have been on Tumblr in 2010.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's actually probably true. They would have eaten you alive.
Huh. Well, and on that note, I guess welcome to Brainstorm Brewery, everybody. If you were on Brainstorm Brewery's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery, you would have seen DJ doing creepy serial killer stare. For everyone else listening to us in your ears, thanks for tuning in. We're going to talk about magic. It turns out there was some Tarkir going on this week as Cass is sending cursed images in the group chat.
That's the onceler.
Get DJ the hat, please.
All right, listeners of Brainstorm Brewery, I will talk about Tarkir. I will talk about the bands, but we have to get DJ a fedora.
Yeah,
Wait,
for
what
real.
I'm just catching up now on
The Onceler was the hottest dude on Tumblr in 2010. All the people were going crazy for him. It was very bizarre.
Huh.
I might have the year wrong. I probably have the
He
year
looks
wrong.
like the kind of guy who would, like, give you a compliment and then you melt.
Oh
Like
my
the nice
God.
guy.
Of course you would say that, because that's who you're trying to be. That's your whole shtick.
While we're on the subject of what we're all up to in our spare time, I've
What
recently
we're all up to it. Can you be more vague?
I recently donated my body to science again.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So like in college,
Did
I
you
got
have
on.
to pay them to take it?
No, listen, man. In college, I got on the medical studies, mailing list, right? So for my entire adult life, I get like sent things from the medical study place, and it's all paid medical studies. So over the course of my life, I've participated in a medical study or two, found out I had terrible sleep apnea this way, et cetera, et cetera. Well, recently, I have donated my body to science again. They're giving me a shot next week, and then I just have to wear a Fitbit around for a year and report whether or not I die or get really ill or whatever, and they pay me hundreds of dollars.
And you get a Fitbit. Or do you have to
And
give
I
that
get a
back?
Fitbit, like a generic Fitbit. How
Have
cool.
you ever seen that one episode of House MD where the guy signs up for all of the medical trials?
Well, they ask you if you signed up for another medical trial in the last 6 months, okay? And you got to say no.
Right, but they don't
So,
verify that.
Corbin, I think it's fantastic that you are willing to put your life on the line for the advancements of science. I think that's fantastic. It's also really funny that you're doing this, man. Like, it's
so
bizarro behavior. Like, it's good that someone's doing it.
You don't like
Every
money?
other person in this study is like a 19-year-old freshman doing it for beer money, and Corbin walks up with his
False.
hat backwards and like...
False. My wife is in the study.
You two are so good together.
We're going to make $1,500 doing the study.
This is a movie from 2001. Why are you doing it right now?
Because $1,500. All right, maybe like I don't want to alienate half our listeners by saying this, but it's like a COVID vaccine study. So
okay.
getting a COVID shot is part of the appeal, but now half of our listeners don't respect me anymore. So what am I to do? they send you text messages, right? And it's just like, do you have this? Do you have this? If so, reply yes, right? And sometimes it's obviously very random stuff that I, in fact, do not have because I'm not a 60-year-old woman or whatever. But occasionally, yeah, a good one comes through like this. And
I
you're
think
like,
the funniest
boom,
part of
snap it
this
off.
for me is that you don't know the name of the place you went. It's the medical science people.
Nah, I
which
know
was
what it's
like,
call.
In my head, it's someone's garage that you went to. Like,
Yeah, sure.
not
I'm not doxing
doxing
the
them.
place here, yeah. But yes, it is.
He's not
it is in
doxing
fact
Big
legit.
Steve's House of Vaccines.
I've watched
with
a
like
fair
an
amount
Ed
of.
and Eddie sign above the garage.
Yeah.
I've watched a fair amount of House. I haven't seen that episode. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the reveal at the end is they figured out that he has his hand in every test cookie jar of like every experimental vaccine and or drug.
That is
That's
an
like how
incredible.
that's his job, is that he's on every medical trial.
Well, that's an incredibly stupid premise for an episode.
Are you kidding me? That's exactly the level that House MD operates on. That's so
I know
funny.
that's what House does, but it does seem to me that if the guy was dying at some point, he might think to mention in preservation of his own life. Hey y'all,
But that's the whole
I've been
premise of the
getting
show,
some
is
random.
that
man.
people
I've been
lie.
getting some
Patients
weird
lie.
shots.
Patients lie, Corbin.
I know.
Everyone lies. It's just a matter of how
Everyone
much they
lies.
lie.
Oh my god. And yet they couldn't guess that he was lying. Wow, what a reveal. The twist was he's lying. The only thing the show tells you the whole time to be true was revealed. That's not a reveal.
No, the reveal
Corbin,
is it's not.
Corbin, let me
Lucas.
ask you a question, man. Where's your f***ing whimsy?
My
Where's
whimsy.
your love of the mystery, man?
I've been watching White Lotus. Does that count as a mystery?
No, that sucks actually.
Corbin,
Oh.
I will.
That's
Corbin, I'm
evil
doing a
and
study
bad.
right now. It's $50 reward. We're looking for 30 to 45-year-old men who don't have any whimsy anymore, and we're
I'd
gonna make you watch episodes of My Little Pony and Bluey.
So I'm just saying, it seems to, if you were to tell me, hey Corbin, we have a study for 30 to 40-year-old men who feel like they've lost their whimsy, I 100% would think you were testing some new ketamine concoction on me, because that's a real thing. I know people with legitimate diagnoses who where ketamine ended up being the treatment, right? So, like the medically prescribed
I know.
treatment, you know? So I'm just
Corbin,
saying, if you pitch that to me, I'd be in so fast.
Prescribed treatment because I've seen House MD.
I'd be into that so fast, man. I'm just
Corbin,
saying.
I know dozens of 20, 30-year-old T-girls who also self-medicate with ketamine.
See, I'm talking. I know like a boomer, like in their like late 50s, early 60s, who who was like medically, you know, somebody who'd never done any kind of anything in their entire life, who that was their prescribed treatment, and I can only imagine what it does to a brain at that point. Who knows?
Bro's getting one-shotted by ayahuasca.
Yeah.
His brain's giga-fried.
Next thing you know, they're ruining the New York Jets.
Oh, speaking of insane rich people who do insane things and ruin sports teams, or try to, I watched the BlackBerry movie finally.
I don't know
The
what
story
this is.
of Jim Balsillie, the guys who founded the company BlackBerry, how they like invented smartphones basically.
Yeah.
Glenn Howerton, the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, plays the extremely balding gentleman. He looks very strange in this bald cap, but it's just Glenn Ross for a new generation. It's just this guy screaming at his staff to do better. It's genuinely a very funny and also dramatic movie. Highly recommend. I gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd at Devoted Druid for all of my great reviews.
Is that out of 5 or 10?
It's out of 5.
It's out of 7.
3.5 for me is okay. So we're gonna talk about the Letterboxd scale now. For me, 5, pristine movie. It's like an all-time top one for me. 4, excellent movie. I'm super happy to have seen. Like, would recommend. Like, very strong. 3.5, somewhere in there. For me, 3 is like the line of watchability, and like it's an average movie. Anything above that, I'd recommend. Anything below that, I think you have to like have a reason to want to watch it.
Okay.
Isn't that just how averages like?
Yes,
Not
but
necessarily.
for some people do like the Uber style scale where it's like if I didn't give a movie a 5, I fucking hated it, and it's like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
Or like if you rate a movie a 5 out of 10 instead of an 8 out of 10, it doesn't mean you're telling people to go watch it, right? Or whatever.
I give a movie a 2.5, and I recommend people to watch it because if you like that kind of thing,
Sure.
We watched different films, because I was in a theater with a lot of like kids and parents, and watching the Minecraft movie over the weekend. And let me tell you, I don't know that it was the Eras tour for Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I've heard it's like going to Rocky Horror Picture Show, but for 12-year-olds.
Yep.
Where they're just like, they're screaming at the movie theater screen.
Literally, chicken jockey! Like, my kid doesn't even play Minecraft, and he knows every single thing they're shouting about. It's insane.
Yeah.
That said, the movie was kind of fun. If you like Jack Black, if you like Jason Momoa, they're very silly and funny. Recommend. If you
What's
like
your Letterboxd score?
If you like your slop, I like
Corbin, what's the Letterboxd?
I like a 3.5, a 4.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That's a strong score. And I love that about this podcast.
I'm easy to please when it comes to like children's movies, right? Like the bar, you don't have to be some great piece of cinema. You just have to be like an enjoyable movie, all blah blah blah. And Jack Black is where I don't know how people feel about Jack Black. I think he makes really good movies for kids. Like School of Rock is one of my son's favorites, so it's inclined to like it. But I like the Minecraft movie.
One of the beautiful things about this podcast is we have the two kinds of people who like movies. We have pretentious, obnoxious, cinephile hipsters, and dads.
Yup.
I love that. And I think the Minecraft movie might be a good time. Might be a fun romp. I might see it sometime.
I think I'm in
probably
the dads
won't.
category.
You are
in
in
the dad's category.
particular, yeah. I do have different standards when it comes to like say Dune or sort of thing. Like I have more strong opinions or whatever. But like a kids movie or whatever, it was great.
Yeah.
Dogman.
It's cool to enjoy something for exactly what it is. I love Roland Emmerich's filmography. I love The Day After Tomorrow. I love 2012. I love stupid disaster movies. They're not good, but I love them.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't... I feel like, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, Cass, I feel like there hasn't been a great run of disaster movies recently.
We had a lot in the early aughts. We had
exactly,
Deep Impact, Armageddon.
2012.
Independence Day kind of counts too.
Yeah. Well, and then like 2012
tomorrow.
Later on. Like there was a 10-year run. Well, maybe 15-year run.
Does Cloverfield count as a disaster movie?
That's a monster movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the last one we had. Didn't we have a sequel to Twister recently? That's like kind of...
Oh, well, yes. You're right, probably.
It's called Twisters.
And it was incredible if you... It knew what the assignment... It understood the assignment. I saw it in 40X. It was fun. But that's probably it.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was a big...
Put them in the comments.
A big boom of like technology maybe for CGI of being able to animate a ship blowing up the White House on Independence Day,
That one was an actual model, wasn't it?
I mean, maybe, I guess. But, like, I guess I don't know what was model versus CGI. But it just felt like around that time period, the technology progressed and you got all kinds of movies where they were pushing sort of the boundaries on what you could. Maybe it's just the time period I became an adult or a teenager and started watching them. But it just feels to me like there was more of that.
It might also just be that ecological disasters now feel a little too real.
Yeah, yeah.
That might actually be part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because back then they were kind of like if you think about the message of Day After Tomorrow, and that's like 20 years ago. It's not that long ago or whatever, but it is still sort of told with a you got to worry about the future kind of thing, as opposed to like shit's on fire now kind of thing. I mean, I do know that there was
Moonfall. Moonfall was a disaster movie, also by Roland Emmerich.
Oh, I watched Moonfall. I forgot it existed, but the moon's the bad guy.
Yeah, the moon is the bad. Every movie's got to have a good guy and a bad guy for sure.
The tagline if I remember right, their motto is "Moon."
Yeah. I recently rewatched Armageddon, and the thing I love about the movie Armageddon is it features a lot of Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck, and Steve Buscemi referring to transmissions as trannies, and they kept saying we blew the tranny. And I have a lot of screenshots of the closed captioning of just like Ben Affleck's face close up being like, we blew the tranny, Jack.
It felt like
transmission,
It felt like as a kid you had to choose it felt like you had to choose between being an Armageddon boy or a Deep Impact boy.
You were an Armageddon family. We were the Core family when that came out.
The Core, okay.
Yeah, the Core was the worst one of those three, to be clear.
Yeah, my dad worked in the oil field, so clearly we loved Armageddon in my house. It was on all the time.
Oh yeah. Wait, so what's the most dad movie of all time? I have a pitch, and I think it's The Da Vinci Code.
Yes.
So what you're gonna have
I'm
to?
not a movie guy, but yes.
Yeah, just you can. I just go on to explain what you mean.
So it's a movie that like when you walk in on your dad, you're like 50-50 to see it on the TV at any given time. Like the kind of thing that a dad loves and will watch over and over again.
Dude, dads do love
that's
that
the
movie.
only book he's read in 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, especially if like. So like my wife's family's religious and Catholic, so that book was like equal parts fascinating to them, and like, oh cool, people are talking about our history, but also
It's
like
their
maybe
50 Shades of Grey, isn't it?
but it's like maybe sacrilegious or whatever, right?
Right, yeah. It's
so
their 50
like
Shades of Grey.
yeah, where they have to hide that they're reading it, like they're hiding.
Porn.
Yeah, like they're putting it inside the Bible, you know, like they got Bible on the outside, and it's that book on the inside.
I think my favorite part of that movie was when Paul Bettany whipped himself.
It's a weird movie, man.
I love how they do the grand reveal of the puzzle, even though like it's such a simple puzzle.
I love Tom Hanks's insane hairline that whole movie.
APPLE, Apple.
I forgot. It's pretty bad, yeah. I assume it's a better book than movie. I just think that there is occasionally, if you like hit on the right historical fiction, you know, you can really captivate and have a
National
moment.
Geographic is the same, or not National Geographic.
Exactly.
National Treasure is the same movie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, National Treasure, and it's certainly the same phenomenon. You know,
it doesn't have the same dad appeal though.
National Treasure? No, I think National Treasure's up there, to be honest.
I don't know if it has dad
World
appeal.
War II buff dad is just like
As a
pointing out-
dad, I will throw on National Treasure anytime. That's great.
Where are you at on Master and Commander?
I don't know. I'm aware of it, and I've not seen it. But I know it's the, like, Russell Crowe.
It's the greatest gay romance movie of all time.
Yeah, it's like Russell Crowe and a bunch of dudes on a ship for 3 hours.
And Paul Bettany.
Great. Yeah, I never saw it. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it has some devotees, though.
I think the other one that I've been thinking about recently is the movie with, again, Tom Hanks, where he's the pilot who was drunk. Or no, it's not Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is a different movie about plane. Think about the one with Denzel Washington, right?
I know what
Which
you're
one
talking
is the
about.
Tom
The
Hanks
train
one?
Unstoppable is the Denzel Washington one, or at least that's a Denzel Washington Chris Pine train movie.
The Denzel Washington movie is called Flight.
Okay, Sully is the one with Tom Hanks.
Yes, I've only seen either of them through TikTok clips. And that's why I had both of them in my head.
Yeah, I actually probably got served the similar TikTok clips and went and watched all the relevant scenes from Sully, and it's interesting. I
feel like both of those are very dad movies.
Yeah, probably like Oppenheimer too. It's like maybe up there.
Oppenheimer's
like,
a little
the
bit
dad
too-
movie you fall asleep to.
Yeah,
Oppenheimer's a little bit too meticulous and too
it's a little too
contemplative.
serious, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a, like dad's escape movie and go sees in the theaters. Like I gotta go see Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer's the movie you say you're gonna go cheat when you need 3 hours to go cheat on your wife.
Nah, man, I wanted to go see Oppenheimer. I watched it on a plane. I watched it in a theater, didn't I? It was great. I think I was like on a work trip and went and saw it.
Corbin can't remember where he saw the movie because he didn't see the movie. He lied about seeing the movie so he could go cheat on his
He was
wife.
cheating on his wife.
With
He's like, I saw it. Oh fuck, where did I say I saw it? God damn it! Like that paper trail's got to match up.
with whatever the lead actor in that movie was. I just needed to spend 3 hours with him in the theater.
Another dad movie is Ford versus Ferrari, which I watched recently. Christian Bale is just like he only plays insane people, but he's really good at playing insane people.
That's an interesting one, and he is good at playing insane people named Batman, which is the most insane people.
Well, he also played Patrick Bateman.
You're right. Yeah, I've tried to explain that movie to Marianne, who's never seen it, and she's just like, "What?" And I'm like, you just like really have to, like you just have to like understand what it's doing to get it right. But if you don't know what it is, you're just kind of like, "What?"
It's in the same tier as Fight Club, where people just like didn't understand what it was doing.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
and like it never really got. I think the first hour of that movie is so fascinating. and the back half of it is just like a lot harder to get through with the context of, oh, people are reading this wrong, right? I understand now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, how about a little bit of Magic? Last week we had the Legacy bands, Troll of Khazad-dûm, and whatever the other Legacy band was.
Sowing
Cask
Michael
and
Spawn.
Tellis, you'll remember. Yeah, Sowing Micah Spawn. DJ and I talked through the other formats last week. Now we have Cast back. You hear what is happening with Legacy. So, what is the effect going to be here, just sort of on a macro level, right? Is this going to kill Eldrazi decks? Like, what are we looking at?
I want to step back actually one layer from that and talk about why it was these cards that got banned in particular.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that the bans were stated they were trying to do was to allow Control to have room to exist in the format. Control of mid-range especially. Sowing Micah Spawn made it so that you could never actually play games where you had to develop your mana. If you were playing a Control deck, you either had to be also playing prison pieces like Blood Moon, or Back to Basics, or you had to be compressing your game plan around up the Beanstalk and Murktide region. You just couldn't play these games where you go land go for a bunch of turns, because if you ever did, they would just cast Sowing Micah Spawn, exile your basic, grab a Wasteland, destroy your other land, and you'd just be so far behind. Also, they could just not grab Wasteland, they could just grab a Cavern of Souls with it. And I think Eldrazi wasn't the best deck, but it did push mid-range and Control out of the format in a big way. And the reason they did Troll of Khazad-dûm over, say, Entomb or Reanimate is because, much in the same way that Brainstorm is a pillar of the format and Wasteland is a pillar of the format, Entomb is a very messed up card, and the Reanimator deck and the Fair Reanimator decks were a little bit too good. And by getting rid of Troll, you make it so that the card you actually have to fight over against Reanimator now is, there's spells that put something in the graveyard. Troll of Khazad-dûm was an uncounterable way to get a threat in the graveyard, which turns all the reanimation on. I think Entomb is the strongest card in the deck. But we don't necessarily always want to ban the strongest card in the deck. We want to ban the card in the deck that lets people still play Reanimator, because that's been a thing in Legacy for as long as I've been playing Magic.
And it was printed after 9/11.
Right. I think we shouldn't ban the old cards. As much as I know this time last year I was actually talking about how we should ban Entomb, and I've thought about it a lot. And getting rid of Troll does solve the problem, because now Control decks don't have to always have Graveyard Hate and a counterspell. They can just have a counterspell to start.
Yeah, it removed the Troll removed the tension in the Reanimator deck between having to play enough reanimation targets versus enough enablers versus enough mana, whereas Troll became the mana and the card you pitch, and now all of a sudden your whole deck is just cleaner and more smooth. And it
also let you play more Wastelands in your Reanimator deck, which is crazy.
Yeah, like it just basically solved, but it really lessened the inherent tension in the entire archetype, which is a really great reason to ban that way, as opposed to, like you mentioned, just strictly going for, we think Reanimator is too good, therefore hit its best card. I think it was a nice and nuanced decision by the design team there.
Yes. I think there are a couple of cards still sort of looming on their problematic tier. There's Oops All Spells. There was a challenge where I got first, second, and third. I think Oops All Spells' power level and success rate is far overblown. I think the deck does lose to things. Not a lot of things, but you have to be playing Graveyard Hate to beat the Graveyard combo deck. I could see something from that going eventually, but the real standout card to me that didn't go is Nadu. Design mistake in all the formats, basically. The deck didn't have a particularly great win rate, all things considered, before the most recent ban announcement, and so it didn't get the axe. But I think it's going to be a deck that will be a problem eventually. We actually had a local player by the name of Nathan Goldberg, great guy. Doesn't play Legacy, won a last chance qualifier on Magic Online, qualified for the Showcase qualifier, sat down with me and 3 or 4 of the Legacy players, and we just kind of coached him through how to get better at Legacy for one evening. And then he won the Showcase qualifier and is now playing in the mocks. So, that is to say, Nadu is really messed up, and Nathan's kind of cracked. I think the other cool thing about Legacy is that Control does have space to breathe now. And we will see Control decks start popping up, which are pretty good against these fast combo decks, and potentially even good against Nadu. So we'll see if there's sort of an ecosystem balance that can be found as people develop their Control decks. Me personally, I have a Legacy 2K this Saturday. I'm going to be playing what I consider to be the most messed up Control deck I've ever played in Legacy. I'm playing Bug Beanstalk, as usual, with some new cards. I have Rakshasa's Bargain in my deck. I had a game against, again, Nathan, where he had Nadu Nomads in play for 3 or 4 turn cycles with multiple other creatures, and I outvalued him so much so that I cast most every card in my deck 6 times. I was endurance looping my deck, drawing 16 cards a turn with Beanstalks, casting Contagions to kill creatures. So I'm really excited.
To be honest.
Yeah, I'm really excited to play some Legacy on Saturday.
Yeah, those are some interesting Legacy loops, Legacy cards. I think that it's possible, I could be wrong here, I think it's possible that our formats are in a decent place. I think that we're headed for a Fable of the Mirror Breaker ban in Pioneer, to be honest. The only question there is whether they then hit cards from the other archetypes in Pioneer. But I think that Modern might be in an okay spot. I think it's probably Modern's in a spot where we hopefully are more likely to get unbans than further bans, which would be great. And if we think Legacy will be okay, Standard's fine to good to great. I think that the ban list announcement left people fairly happy, and then obviously a ton happened with Pauper, but I don't really know anything.
Is
about
there? If Modern's in a good spot, are you worried about there being a Universes Beyond iceberg on the horizon of like Final Fantasy power levels or like some form of busted
No,
thing?
because those are going into standard.
I know it's in
that-
standard,
yeah.
but that's like I'm still asking the same question because
Well, so you're right, DJ. Like, standard cards are the most powerful cards these days, typically, blah blah blah, right? Like, just saying, oh, it's in standard doesn't mean it's going to be weak. It's like a lot of the best possible cards of the past few years have come
right,
from
like
standard.
we've seen plenty of
I hear you.
Oko level nonsense.
Yeah, I do think that it's less likely to be egregious. So I think that any one set is less like. I would hope that nothing will ever be as impactful as Modern Horizons 3 again. Is probably the way I'd put it.
Because there is no Horizon set this year.
Exactly, right? So
And
my hope is that routing the cards through standard also means they go through maybe at least a slightly different amount of testing.
MH1 was 2019, MH2 was 2022, MH3 was 2024.
It's like roughly every other year or so.
And now people,
Modern Horizons 2 was 21. Lord of the Rings was 23.
Yes, Lord of the Rings was 23.
MH3 was 24.
Okay.
So
the question is,
there was a gap here between the first two.
And this year there is, am I wrong? There is no big direct to modern release.
I believe that is correct. I believe Final Fantasy was going to be, but then they announced that it's not.
Well, Mark Rosewater said at some point that like their main set releases went from 9 in 2024 to 7 in 2025, I think. As part of that is that Universes Beyond is now just part of the standard pipeline, and it's 6 or 7 or whatever sets a year now, going through that. So it seems like maybe I would hope that as a result of all of this, there is no Modern Horizons 3 cliff hanging out. I do think that there will. Like, I'm not saying we won't need more bans in Modern. I do think that at the current moment, I think it's possible we end up in a spot where we get unbans. Because I think that removing Breach from the format should theoretically open things up a lot. And if then the Ketchermost Black-White deck becomes the best deck, I could be wrong, but I assume that deck can be attacked given its reliance on creatures.
I think that the Black-White deck is pretty far from what's going to become the best deck. If I had to guess, if I had to guess, the things that are going to be problematic moving forward in Modern are if there's another Opal shell that's strong enough, which I don't believe that. I don't think there is right now.
Opal Emery Amber cannot survive forever, right?
Okay,
Emery will probably go at some point. Yeah,
I've talked about this about why I love Mox Opal being in Modern. Is it's reanimate? It's the card. It's Entomb. It's the card we were talking about earlier. How many cards? There need to be cards in Modern that can hang with MH3 power level cards. And so, like, if a year from now we have to axe Emery, I'm fine with that.
Exactly.
I don't think we do, though. I don't think that the Emery Amber Tameo stuff is all that good without a super broken card like Underworld Breach. If you're playing Jeskai Ascendancy, that card is much, much worse than Underworld Breach.
Okay.
If we're playing Kethis stuff, I think the card's a lot worse than Underworld Breach.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the archetypes that might end up being problems are, again, Energy. Once again.
That's what I thought, too.
Flage Arena remains one of the best end games for any of these decks that are trying to do aggressive things and end up doing mid-range things. I could see Eldrazi being a problem eventually. Kozilek's Command, very powerful. And of course, the 6/6 green giant in the room. Amulet Titan might be the best deck right now.
I think that all of these are distinct possibilities, and I don't know that I think that's a good thing. I also feel like Amulet Tide may just end up being too good by the good players, right? In the way that Breach kind of became once it got figured out by the best players and distilled down to the best possible main board and sideboard plans, it just became too good. I could see Amulet Titan doing that. On the other hand, Amulet Titan remains weak to some sort of, things that it's always been weak to. So maybe not. And then you think, well, maybe Eldrazi's too good because it just has this over-the-top late game where you just end up looping your Eldrazi commands or Kozilek's commands and you can't ever stop them, right? But then you think about your Mox Opal stuff. But it's also possible that we end up in a world where all of these things are very good but held in check by other things, right? So, Amulet Titan's been around for a long time. It's gotten better, but so is energy. And if one end of the format is people playing Amulet Titan nonsense, and the other end is people playing 1/1s for one in their energy deck, as much as I personally hate playing against the energy deck, that seems like a reasonable spread for a format to have as decks that we think might be the best decks. All right, let's move on that note to, I don't know if we'll be able to make you money off of those decks, but I know you can make money on these cards. It's time for Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
And I'm going to start this one off. And it's not a trick question, and it's not meant to be hard. So it just depends how much you've been paying attention. You're either going to know this instantly or you're not. This is a multicolored rare from Universes Beyond Doctor Who. And it was a bulk rare up until last week.
Are there any dragon cards in Doctor Who?
Nope. It's now the most expensive card in Doctor Who.
Is it dinosaurs on a spaceship?
Nope.
Is it something along the lines? Because I know there's the Warhammer Reanimator Karmic guide that spiked. Is it something in that same?
No.
It's gold?
It is a Rakdos card.
Oh, the Master.
Oh, it's the Master, yeah.
Yeah. Multiplied. Yes, so the Master Multiplied, this is the card that everyone ran to with Deadpool when Deadpool excited. It's a 6-mana 4/3 with Myriad, which means when you attack with it, you get a copy of it attacking each opponent, and then it has a legend rule, doesn't apply to creature tokens you control. Triggered abilities you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile other tokens you control. Something, this works with Deadpool to mess up an opposing board, making it very strong and making the reason for the spike.
And there's Ortheon, Hero of Lava Brink, that also spiked for the same reason. A March of the Machines red rare that makes temporary tokens and is very good with Deadpool and or the Master Multiplied. So that is the new design space flavor of the week kind of thing that is being explored right now, is all of these cards that are sort of Kiki-Jiki-esque, I will say, is the hot new thing to copy with Deadpool and give your opponent a bunch of miserable things.
Well, you're looking at $20 for the Master Multiplied right now, lowest listings. So have fun with that one.
It is surprising to me that is the most expensive card in Doctor Who.
I mean, will it stay the most expensive after this week?
I feel like there's a lot of things in Doctor Who that are all worth like $2 to $5 is the thing.
Yeah, there's looks like maybe 10 cards that are $10 or more. Auton Soldier is actually the next most expensive. And then it's just like Heroic Intervention. So yeah.
I got a card that you guys might groan at me a little bit for. Because it's been worth something for a while. But it started out very cheap when it first got printed. And it's a Bloomborough Red Rare.
Talent?
Artist talent?
It's artist talent.
The Broken is a Phoenix card.
Yeah, so it was one of those cards that was like 50 cents to $1 on release. And it has been climbing up to like, it was 3, 4 for a bit there. Had a brief moment at 10. It's kind of been sitting around 5 for a consistent amount of time. And I do still find these in bulk regularly.
Yeah.
So many of the talents in that set are worth something because you couldn't get non-foils of them in collector boxes.
Yes.
And so they just have a genuinely lower supply than almost every other rare in the set. I find these often in bulk because people just assume that like it's the uncommon one because all the talents look so similar.
Yeah, they definitely do.
This card is $5. It's been $10 before. You should not be leaving these in your bulk, folks.
Yeah, this card's busted. Like at the NRG a few weeks ago, where Phoenix did pretty well, and then the Arena Championship did pretty well. People were saying stuff like, "Yeah, you really shouldn't call this deck Is It Phoenix. You should start calling this deck like Is It Talent because it completely changed the deck. It is the best thing to do. So it's like Phoenix may or may not always be the best thing to dump in your graveyard." But like sometimes they do the talent and then they kill you with their Prof's Eidetic Memory, putting 4 counters on their creature because it just helps that the blue red churn through its spells deck, churn through its spells like nothing else can. All right, DJ, what are you looking at?
Scars of Mirrodin green uncommon.
Bellowing Tangleworm.
Yep, it's not hard to guess.
Your creatures have what is it given? Does it give them Intimidate?
It gives Intimidate to all of your green creatures, yes. 5 mana 4/4. If Crater Hoof math is not enough to kill them, this is its only other printing is from the list. And it's just a silly guy, and foils are like $10 of this card. Because
I do pull these out of bulk still. I have a pile downstairs.
It's a magic card, and it's got a Mirrodin watermark on it, and I remember drafting these in 2010, and this card is 15 years old.
ago. I was having a conversation recently, Legacy this previous week. We had someone show up with Battle of Wits, and he was pile shuffling for the bit. And he wasn't even the worst clock menace in the room, because we also had a High Tide player in the room. We were talking about the High Tide player, and someone was like, "Oh, I mean, he's been playing High Tide since, Timesprawl got unbanned, 10 years ago or whatever." And someone was like, "Didn't Timesprawl get unbanned in like 2008?
Or longer?
I think it was 08 it got unbanned.
Okay.
I think it was 08 or 09.
It's basically been legal as long as I played Magic. And I started in late 2007 or something, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough being old.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did cast the High Tide on Friday night in a Commander game in my Mono Blue Wizards Azami deck, and then I attempted to combo everyone, and then they had two free counter spells to stop me. It was tragic.
Tragic for whom?
Well, me and my teammate. It was like a secret partner 6-player game, and I had a counter spell to protect my own combo, but they had 2, so we lost.
Did you say secret partner 6-player game? What the fuck does that mean?
So my commander group, we just have, the group of up to I'd say 10 people at the very max included, and every week you end up with somewhere between 4 to 8 people, and some of them are there early, some of them are there late. So like numbers are just very variable, right? So if we have 4 or 5 people, we play a regular game. If we have 8 people, we make 2 pods. If we have 7 people, it's just kind of fucked, and 3 people usually try to find something else to do because no one wants to play a 3-player pod. So when we have 6 people, we do secret partners, where 6 people just sit down. You're going to play a normal game, but before game, you pass out cards face down, 2 swamps, 2 islands, 2 forests, heads down. Do the whole 7-up thing. Figure out who your secret partner is. Then the game goes on. You play the game as normal, but you win and lose together. So if I'm playing my Mono Blue Azami deck and I combo and win with Labman or whatever, my partner also wins. But that creates situations where my partner uses their cards to maybe protect what I'm doing, etc., right? But also you don't know who anyone's partner is but yours at the beginning of the game. So sometimes you attack your partner to try to throw it off, right? It's just kind of fun.
That's actually so sick, dude.
You always find out who partners are within the first 6 or 7, 8 turns as things happen, right? But that's part of the fun, is deducing who's partners. So, if this player's really far ahead in the game on board, we can target their partner maybe to try to kill them, right?
Right.
So then it adds intrigue to figuring out who their partner is, etc. So yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty good way to play with 6
Corbin.
people. I really enjoy.
Before.
When we get to 7, we end up playing Mario Party with the 3 and the 4 play Commander. Sure. But like I said, 7's the only bad number. Anywhere else between 4 and 8, we can make work pretty well. It works out.
Is a 5-player Commander game not also miserable?
It's fine.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's not the best.
My group is really heavy on interaction, so they do drag a little bit, but part of it is that you just like, I don't play my werewolves deck in a 5-player pod, you know? Like my Tovolar attack you to deck with werewolves is just not going to be able to keep up in a 5-player pod. You generally end up doing your like big mana decks. I don't know. It does affect your deck selection a little bit, given the amount of like your aggro deck has to deal an additional 40 points of damage if there's another player. So
but it could end the game a little bit easier.
Yeah, it just kind of is what it is. But like, it's fine. I don't hate playing 5-player games, and it's fine. There you go. It's some breaking bulk, and if you end up with 6 players in your commander group, maybe give this a try next time. And all of these breaking bulks came to you, as they always do, from our generous sponsor, MTGstocks. That's where we go for the best Magic the Gathering financial information on the internet. Hey, and also the best Pokemon financial information on the internet. Shout out to Pika Stocks. I use that quite regularly myself. But MTGstocks is the best source for all of the latest Magic market news, of which there's plenty. And that's why you listen to this show. Especially right now with Tarkir out. There's a pre-release last weekend. I did my first pre-release in a year. I did not do well, but I had a good time. What was Tarkir weekend look like for y'all?
DJ, did you play any pre-releases?
I did not touch any Tarkir Magic cards. I was about to say I did not touch a Magic card, but I did pack a bunch of orders over the weekend, so I did touch Magic cards, but...
All work and no play makes DJ a dull boy, okay?
I watched season 2 of Silo while I was doing it. It was great.
That's pretty good. I played Tarkir pre-releases. I played an individual pre-release, which I 2-1'd with Mardu Splashing Blue for 2 copies of New Way Forward.
We call that Moist Mardu.
I like Damp Mardu, but Moist Mardu also plays. No one plays around the second copy of New Way Forward. I'll tell you what.
Which one is that?
What happens? That's the Deflecting Palm. You also draw that many cards for 5 mana.
Card stuff.
So I did the first one for 4. My opponent's like, oh, that card's really good. I prevent 4 damage, deal 4 to them, draw 4 cards. 2 turns later, they come with like a 6-power creature, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, buddy. And I just play it, 6 them, draw 6. They go to like 2 or whatever. I untap and kill them with a Twin Bolt. It was pretty sweet. I don't know if this format's going to be fast or slow. Obviously, the pre-release you have seeded packs, etc. But there are some wildly powerful cards in Limited. Mardu was, I think, pretty firmly the strongest color combo for the pre-release.
Yeah. I was thinking that because
I played Sultai because I wanted to grind, and it was fine.
I see the Channeled Fireball account, and every single card in the set is now because the Channeled Fireball limited scale was based in 2009. Like every card in every set is at least a 3 now.
I mean, the 17 lands data probably made the LSV scale a little less relevant these days. I'm not gonna lie. Not that people don't still love that, and there is value to a data that is from a pro as opposed to just from a algorithm. But I do think a lot of people tend to default to 17 lands data these days.
The biggest difference between a pro rating scale and aggregate data is aggregate data can miss things because if the average person doesn't know about it, it just doesn't come together. Mm-hmm. I remember Grand Prix DC, the Modern Horizons 1 sealed GP. The draft strategy that Sam Black and Carmen Clemperens employed on day 2 of that event was completely out there. It was in their heads, you would take Arkham's Astrolabe over any card in the set. You could just draft these 5-color piles and have them be super successful. And then after that GP, after the first week or whatever of moto drafting, when people just thought certain archetypes were the best, that was the strongest strategy until it broke down because everyone was trying to draft it.
Right.
And there are, in a small way, there are metagames limited.
The Slitherblade strategy is the most famous, right? Where it was Amonkhet, I think, and everyone was drafting whatever they were drafting, and whoever realized, hey, if we just Kano maybe was actually you can just get all these Slitherblades super late, they're unblockable, and then do stuff with them, and no one can do anything about it. It's actually a very powerful strategy.
I think the funniest version of this ever was when Greg Hatch was really high on playing 13 land decks in Theros Limited. Only would ever take 1 and 2 mana red and white spells and was I'm just going to play 13 lands, it's fine.
I actually, Neil Rigby got me with that one time, and I don't remember what set it was. Maybe it was like it was some set, and he like was the first person who would ever bust it out like a real life like 14, 15 land deck on me unlimited, just crushing me with 1 and 2 mana spells, and I was like, wow, you know, hey, there's levels to this.
Oh, at my 2-headed giant pre-release, actually, my teammate played a 15 land deck.
There you go.
With 3 copies of the Lay of the Land Dragon.
I'm sure people at home are shouting into their microphone sliver kids at us, as that's probably the most famous example.
That's 2-headed giant. 2-headed giant's not real. I'm going to talk about 2-headed giant now, though. Because we pre-registered for the event, the way the story where I was doing it was you got to pick which kits you got when you pre-registered, and so we both picked the Mardu kits because it's the best color combo. And we mushed those together to make one busted Mardu deck, and then my teammate played Abzan. But with this pre-release victory, with this 3-0, me, my pre-release 2-headed giant partner, are 15-0 lifetime. No one can possibly take us down. If you think you're good at 2-headed giant, you're wrong. We have the mandate of the narrative on our side.
The mandate of the narrative.
Well, instead of the mandate of heaven, you know, like the writers want us to win. The writers want us to win.
The last
the sacred
two-headed giant
timeline, if you
event,
will.
I think the last two-headed giant event I played was GP New York * because it was in New Jersey, Shadows over Innistrad, and I played a two-headed giant Shadows over Innistrad event with my best friend. We were playing against some romantic couple, and she was like just there for the vibes, and he was super competitive. And we were anime characters, backs to the wall, and Corey wanted me to like use the burn spell to kill the giant monster that's attacking us, and I was like, nope, hold until you see the whites of our eyes, top deck the land, burn from within you for 17, we win. And she was so happy to get burned from within, and the guy was fuming.
I do love one of my favorite sites at two-headed giant events is watching relationships fall apart because the dude just like can't get over himself.
Yeah.
It happens like once per event.
It's a
One
nice
of the rules
little,
of
like,
teaming.
like we should pitch that as an episode of Love is Blind.
Yeah, 2 Magic players get together to play a two-headed giant pre-release. Blind date, see if you can tolerate the person after deck building with them. So the thing about being with me for a two-headed giant event is you have to accept that I'm always right. And so I have to play with someone who's less experienced than me, but who's still good. And so I play with someone who's a good constructed player, but doesn't play limited.
That way they won't.
It's actually the guy on my shirt. If you're watching on YouTube, it's this guy.
They won't screw their game up, but that way they won't tell you you're wrong. It's the
He
perfect.
did try and throw a match, actually. We had an attack that would have been lethal if he also sent in his last 2/2. And after we were doing it math, I was like, I told you to attack with everything. And he's like, I messed it up. It didn't matter. Mandate the narrative. We still won.
Well, there you go. Speaking of the narrative, it's time for Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Because some people say we set the narrative with our picks of the week and that we are responsible for prices moving.
No one has said that since 2017.
No one has said that since 2017. Well, look at the world, DJ. It's 2017 again.
I got a pick of the week.
If only, man.
Yeah.
I got a pick of the week. And the thing about having this pick of the week is I have to know everything to know it. I have to my brain has to be so big. My pick of the week's omniscience. You have to be omniscient.
I got it before she said the word. Let the record
Omnitel? Maybe back in Legacy. Omnitel is kind of looking back in Legacy. The Omniscient Second Standard got a couple of new tools from Tarkir. And the card's $5. Omniscience is $5, folks.
Yeah, that is pretty cheap.
Just buy them.
Speaking of 2017, that was the year people were paying $70 for that card on Amazon.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna hop in.
world.
I'm gonna hop in with a Murders at Karlov Manor uncommon. And while I don't think this is going to be consider this a breaking bulk of the week because I don't think this is going to stay expensive, but it is currently moving from like under $2 to above $2 and $3, and it's probably gonna be $5. Insidious Roots, the 2 mana enchantment. Golgari, creature tokens you control can tap to add 1 mana of any color whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard. Make a plant and then put a counter on each plant you control. Now, it does occasionally pop up a little bit in Standard. It doesn't ever really get there. Maybe some cards will show up in the future that allows it to get there. But it also has some popularity in Commander. It gets there as well. It just does a lot of stuff. And they've been printing more decks recently that just say tokens, right? Just have the word token on them, whether it's creature tokens or not. So anything with tokens as people are looking at. But Insidious Roots has been starting to climb a little bit, and Murders at Karlov Manor was a year ago now. So I think this is probably going to be a $4 or $5 uncommon.
It feels like longer.
Yeah, that sucked.
That set in particular feels longer.
Yeah, that sucked.
Also, there is a whole mechanic in Tarkir that says exile this creature card from your graveyard, do something.
Yes.
The whole Sultai mechanic is
exactly.
Exile a card from your graveyard. Kind of. It's scavenge, but it does different things.
Yes, and there's So lots to. I think that's likely what's causing the current spike. And like I said, I don't know where it'll end. I don't know if it's going to actually be a deck, but it is going to be a $5 uncommon here in about 2 weeks.
Sure.
All right, DJ, you get to wrap it up this week. What are you looking at?
I am looking at a Modern Horizons 3 card that I think has the potential to be broken in the future in some way that my non-omniscient brain cannot handle. Like, I can't visualize the pieces that make this card broken as hell, but I think it exists. It will exist one day. It is the nightmare of all syntax entries. The card's name is 6.
I like this card.
Just 6. SIX. Miserable to look up. Miserable to fucking why. We made red in 6 now. It's just 6. Shut up. So
DJ hates
it's
Magic
a
Lore.
3-mana 2/4 with reach from Modern Horizons 3. It's a legendary tree folk. Whenever it attacks, you mill 3 cards. You may put a land from your hand land from among them into your hand. But the broken thing is, as long as it is your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace, which means they are just in your hand. You just have to discard a land to cast them. I feel like there's plenty of loops abound with this in the future. Card is kind of tanky. It's a 4 toughness creature with a big butt. It's a tree folk for commander. It's gonna have all of that like land, life from the Lomi commandery demand, and it's. I mean, Cass can speak to this kind of thing better than I can, but like I can just see people doing Mishra's Bauble bullshit with this.
Yeah,
I've seen this card played in Legacy multiple times since it's printing.
Well, and I can tell you,
it's not great, but like
you nailed it in Commander too. I play this in my Carador deck with Life from the Loam, where it is pretty good. It takes some kind of card that so with retrace you would need something that return to land, something that you I don't know, pitch a land, it comes into play, return a land.
It could be like an ETB bring lands to your hand.
That's what I mean. That would have to be something like that, but then you need an alternate casting. Like you may cast this by discarding a land or something, or returning something weird. But you're right. Like,
but
something
it's going to be in
exist.
some kind of soup deck, some kind of grinding station soup deck where 8 different pieces work together in 8 different ways.
I think you're probably right.
And the card bottomed out at around $3 July of last year, and it is up to $6. And there's just going to be more and more organic demand until there's competitive demand, and then it'll be like 20.
6 is 6.
It has a really ugly, what's it called, profile frame.
Whoa, I like that one. Whoa.
Let's see, I'm going to go look at it.
Corbin's the tiebreaker here.
With the little bird? It looks better in person than it does on a screen, because I actually own this one.
It does look better in person now that I'm looking at it digitally. Yellows are notoriously slaughtered by modern LCD monitors.
I own this one in person and in paper, and it does look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
It looks way more like orange. There's almost like a slight gradient on it in person. Online, it just looks like piss.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, this card is getting the Rothko treatment, where like the JPEG is the enemy of it.
Oak, I will take your word for it. I can't remember the last time I saw one in person, but I do think that any of these versions, of which there are many, you can go etched, you can go retro, you can go pre-release promo, regular foil. I think 6 is a good pickup.
Yep.
It seems like the kind of card that'll also get a secret lair and not a real reprint.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right on all accounts with that card. It's really powerful. in a lot of ways. And they've made a number of cards now that do sort of the, when this enters or attacks or something, mill 3 lands, put one of them into your hand. Most of those cards cost 4 mana. So 6 is actually comes down a turn earlier than those, which is nice. Big fan of it. Also, a fan of those who go to patreon.com/BSB. It is the last thing we'll talk about, and that's our Patreon this week, where all of you who will give us as little as 20 or 25 cents an episode, as Jason might say, that's less than $1 a week sometimes, or just over $1 a week. I don't know. I'm not the mathematician. The point is, it's not expensive to support this podcast, and we make it worth it because you get access to the spreadsheets where you get all of our picks early, our breaking bulks, and our picks of the week. And you get access to the Discord where not only do we have a good time, we talk about all of these in the MTG Finance channel, which is pretty active. So if you enjoy the podcast, please remember to check out patreon.com/BSB. Support us if you are able. We thank everyone who can. It is truly what makes the podcast possible. So thank you, DJ and Cass, for hanging out this week. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening. Thank you, MTG Stocks, for all that you do. And to you, our listeners. We'll see you next week. This is Brainstorm Brewery.
Bye.